Okay, I know I don't have the best editing skills, but what I did was I bought two navigation maps of my area, and I've fished these areas for over 25 years, so I'm very familiar with the water. But I wanted to bring some things to people's attention that they might not catch, unless they really look. But the first map there was a more of a detailed map. This map is less detailed, but it shows farther out into the Gulf of Mexico. And I needed this other map to show where these other waypoints were because you couldn't see them in any other maps. Now here's one of the waypoints. This is for the smaller map, the more detailed map. And hopefully you can see the longitude and latitudes. And if you check those with the next one that comes up, the longitude and latitudes do not match. Now, one could say, well, one's a better one than the other one. But hey, look, it's 2017, people. Shouldn't they have this shit down pat by now? All right. So, these are just some pictures that I took of my maps so I could really kind of give you a good idea of what I'm talking about. This is the general area, and the two waypoints that I'm looking at is waypoint 22 and waypoint 23. And again, this is on the smaller detailed map. So what I want to do is try to prove the distances to them. And on this, here's my nautical miles and statute miles. So I'm going to use a piece of paper here and draw out, the miles on here. And I do add an extra half a mile to this little chart here that I put in later on just to prove a point. At least I hope I did on this particular video. But the main thing is show you the nautical miles, and then I kind of turn my paper around, and then I do the statute miles. Now, one of the things that I seen was the statute miles compared to nautical miles on 3 miles of the nautical miles, it's actually almost 3.5 miles on statute miles. So that's quite a big discrepancy, especially if you're looking at much longer distances. All right, this is the nautical miles to the Bayport Bird Rack, which is called Beacon Rock on the waypoint chart. But it's actually Hernando Beach entrance, and you'll see that on the bigger map waypoint markers. Okay, so that's approximately 3 nautical miles, but it's about 3.5 statute miles. So again, what can we trust when none of these match up? Even Google Earth does not match up to these. Now, I don't know how to use Google Earth to where I can get these things marked out, but this is the Hernando Beach channel marker, which is also approximately 3 miles away. So it's kind of hard to determine or show on these maps, especially where I can't show you where that line is drawn there. But here I think I changed my angle or lower my camera down to where you can see where I'm actually going to here on this next picture. Yes, right here. This is waypoint 23, which is Hernando Beach channel marker, and that is a little over 3 nautical miles. Okay, so that's actually over 3.5 miles of statute miles. So again, I show you the statute miles with the extra half a mile added on there. So that other little piece there at the very beginning of my paper is the extra half a mile that I added on. And I'm not trying to prove this to other people. Now, if you look at these longitude and latitudes, they're completely different. You may need to pause it and check both of these, because I got a picture of the bigger map here, and then the next waypoint should be a picture of the waypoints for the smaller map. Well, actually not. It's just a closer picture of the waypoints there. But I do believe I have pictures of the waypoint for the smaller map too up here. But then I also go into the nautical mile markers, and each little square is approximately 1 mile. Okay, so you can check that out here on this nautical chart. So they're giving you really close roundabouts distances here. Okay, so now I just take another piece of paper, I mark it out, and show you on this. I'm going to try to show, well, I am going to show you some real footage of where I was positioned, my height of my camera, everything on some videos coming up. But see, you can see here there's waypoint number 3, waypoint number 4. And here I'll change it to where we can see a couple of the other waypoints that I'm referring to. I do believe waypoint number 9 is one, and number 5 and 6 are also these waypoints. So it's 3, 4, 5, 6, and 9 that I am really concerned about, because these are the bird racks that I film from a low height of approximately 5 feet. Now again, this is showing waypoint number 6 at approximately 3 nautical miles. So 3 nautical miles is approximately 3.5 miles. Now this chart too is a lot harder because it's less detailed, so it's harder to determine exactly where I am actually located. Okay, waypoint number 5 is approximately 7 miles. Nautical miles, so that would be more like 8 nautical or statute miles out to number 5, and that number 5 is the North Bird Rack. Waypoint number 9 is Cutter's Rock, and Cutter's Rock is approximately 10 nautical miles. Now, I'm not saying these measurements are exact. This is the best I can do to try to show this in a video. So bear with me. I try to show you these other waypoint markers. Here's waypoint marker number 3. And you can see approximately the nautical miles on that. I should have put nautical miles on the piece of paper so you could see. And then the next picture here is waypoint number 4, which is approximately 8 nautical miles. And that's going to be on the smaller map, so that's not, or the bigger map. So you have to go back and reference the waypoints for the bigger map. And like I said, you can pause it and look at it and see what I'm talking about. And then, you know, waypoint number 9 is over 10 nautical miles away, and I catch it also. Now, you have to take into perspective, and also, you know, the lower you get to the ground, you are going to have some parts cut off due to your angular resolution. And that's something that, you know, the science isn't going to tell us. Here's number 5 again, and it's, you know, approximately 7 miles, nautical miles. So again, that's more like 8 miles out on statute miles. So I, you know, again, I'm not trying to prove this to anybody except for myself. And when I start comparing these to, you know, even my GPS readings, which my GPS is really hard to show, only due to the fact that it has some issues with it. It's pretty old. Now, this is Gomez's Rock, and I cannot see Gomez's Rock because there's a little fiddler point there that blocks me out from seeing Gomez's Rock. Okay, and then there's another waypoint there that says Hernando Beach, but I don't believe that that's actually a waypoint. Otherwise, they'd mark it. And here's the bigger map all over again, just to show you that I did purchase these maps mainly for proving things to myself, not proving things to other people. Do not believe me. Check it yourself. Let me see if I can get over here and read this. The waypoints that I'm concerned about is okay, we got number 3, which is Hernando Beach Channel Lighthouse, or Light, which is Bill Watts tripod. Then number 4 is Billy Steele South Rock Light. Number 5 is Bayport North Rock Light. And number 6 is Bayport Channel Beacon Rock Light. Okay, so it's called Bayport Channel, but it's also called Beacon Rock Light. Number 7 is Gomez's Rock, but I don't believe I can see it because there's a point that sticks out south of me that I cannot see. Number 8 is Chassahowiska Light, Channel Light, but I don't, that isn't concerning me. The other one is number 9, which is Cutter's Rock Light. That's another one that I filmed from 5 feet from the water. And I'll have some video to show for that. And also, hopefully you can see all of these channel markers, numbers, except for the one up at the top, which I might need to go up there a little bit so you can see that one. I think that's the waypoint number 5. But I'm trying to cut this video shorter because it's a little long if I show all the footage I have of it. So I will be cutting some of the film of the day I was down here filming, just so I can cut the video short. But I do have a longer version that I did on an unlisted video. I might also go ahead and make that one public, but I wanted to do this one first to just show you where I was standing at and everything the day I did this filming. Alright, go from there. Let's see where my tripod's not all the way down. It's at one of the shorter settings. Water's not far off here, so I'm no more than 5 feet off the water. Let's see if I can find this boat in here again. There he is. I don't think you can see it. I'm going to step back. Give you a good idea where I'm at. So my camera's under the seawall, down below the seawall. Okay. Alright, just wanted to establish that. Okay, right here my camera was actually probably a little less than a foot higher than the water where I had it positioned. It's kind of hard to show that or prove that unless I'm, go out there and stand in the water with a damn measuring stick, which these rocks are pretty dangerous. They got a lot of barnacles and oysters stuck to them, so they'll cut you pretty quick if you're out there on them. As you can see, that they've got some nice edges. But this is the thing. When you're filming with 2 different cameras, this is cell phone footage, and you see these bands of the light rays shooting up, which is also something to research. Then what I do is I take some pictures of the height of my tripod, which I got a 48-inch measuring stick here. So you can see that it's just a little bit short of 48 inches at the center of the lens. And then I got another picture here showing you the whole thing. So that way you can see that my measuring stick is straight up on it. So I just wanted to show the height of my camera. That way, people aren't saying, oh, you're lying about the height of your camera. You can obviously see that my camera was set at this height. So again, people don't have to believe me. They can go out and do their own test. All right, now I've got some footage coming up here that, like I said, I'm going to probably cut parts of it out so it ain't as long. Okay, on this piece of footage right here, I want you to look at how the bottom of this boat is being mirrored. You don't actually see it in the water, and this is due to the angle of light that's hitting the water that's causing this mirroring. And this is another thing too. Look at this little birdie that's up close. This is perspective for you, that how this little birdie can block out that whole boat. The bird's bigger than the boat, and that's due to perspective. But as this boat starts to move away, now kind of zoom back to kind of show you that bird, where that bird is, but it's actually, I didn't zoom all the way back. But this first rack that you see, or this tripod coming up, is the Hernando Beach channel light, and it's called Bill Watts tripod. And that's it right there that the boat just passed. And now if you start noticing, see how you start seeing the wake of the boat pushing up? That's due to the angle of light. Also, you can tell that the direction of this boat, he's heading away from me and not really across my vision. Yes, he's kind of going a little bit northward, but not by much. He's mainly going west. But you can see the wake that he's pushing up higher, but you don't see that water beyond it because that is all just being mirrored behind the boat or above this visible water line. That's why the boat continues to ride this same water line as he gets smaller and smaller. And you see these channel markers that are out there, which gives you a good idea that he's in the channel, like he's going behind that channel marker. Now, as this boat gets further away, he will just continue to get smaller. Now, the next rack that you see will be Billy Steele South Rock Light, and that's another bird rack. I call them bird racks. Most people around here call them bird racks. And if you go to my one video that I put out, 2 crazy days of observation or whatever, where I actually took my boat out and drove out to these tripods or these bird racks and filmed them. So you can go and look at that and reference those in comparison to this video. So there's your Billy Steele South Rack or South Rock Light, if you go by the waypoint. And I film this all the time, and I get it at different angles, and sometimes it's so much mirroring out there I can't even see it. So again, angle of light causes some issues, which for some reason this is not moving, so I'm not sure how this is actually going to come out. I don't know why it did like a pause there, but hopefully it comes out right. And then I'm going to catch back up to this boat, and we'll see where it goes from there. Again, here's my computer acting up. I have no idea why it's doing some of this pausing. But here I catch back up to the boat, and again you can see the wake in front of the boat and on the left side of the boat. So, this boat, just like I say, it continues to get smaller. And then here's another bird sitting on one of these things. There is Cutter's Rock, and that one's, like I said, about 10 nautical miles out. So you got to consider being lower to the surface like a bug. How far can you see? like my board test that I did. The lower you get to the board, it becomes a sliver out there, and that sliver, due to perspective, will appear to cut things off because there's waves, wakes, or swells out there that will block things out. And you don't see it because you cannot see that mirroring edge line there that causes this issue. Um, I do a lot of observational videos, and this is why I do them. I don't do them to prove it to nobody else. I do it to prove it to numero uno, which is me. I want to find out and solve these for myself. Now, you see that this boat is still on this water line. Now, I'm going to speed this up a little bit to a certain point so I can cut the time on this video back. Okay, I sped this part up 3 times, so again, I'm cutting my video a little shorter. But pay attention to these, like how you can see these lines in the water. And these lines sometimes become mirroring lines. And this boat, I've filmed these before where this boat would look like it was floating in the air on different parts of the seasons. Where that light is coming in on a different angle causes a different mirroring issue. So again, you know, you look past in some of my past videos and see the difference. There is a big difference in that mirroring. Like I said, a lot of times I get these boats out there and they will look like they're floating in the air, but they're not. They're literally still on the water. It's not refraction popping them up behind the curve. Refraction actually drags things down and not upward. So again, this is some of my proof that I've proved to myself. And again, look at this boat is still riding on that same water line. Now, I'm going to show you here. I'm going to bring it back to normal speed right here. And what you'll see is this boat will turn away from me. He will turn southward. And as he turns southward, it kind of changes your whole perspective of the boat. Now you're looking at the ass end of the boat. And as he turns, now you're looking at the other side of the boat as he's going away from me, but still riding that same water line. And he gets harder and harder for the camera to resolve. And parts of the boat actually start becoming invisible because they're so far away the camera can't resolve or render some of the parts of the boat. So again, you know, you also see this wavy action just above the visible water line, and it's kind of like looking at the moon. You get this wave action that is part of that mirroring, that atmospheric magnification. And I've seen this in a lot of my videos, and you know, if you really look for the details and pay attention to the details, you'll notice some of these things. Now, what I'm waiting for is he's going to come back up to Cutter's Rock here. He's going to cut back across that path. And you can still see, you know, how Cutter's Rock appears. Maybe I should have sped it up a little bit, but I believe it's coming up here shortly. Again, you know, these are my tests and these are my opinions. So I don't never expect people to believe me. If you go out and film and do as many observational videos as I have, you will start to see something with this atmospheric issue. These cause problems with viewing things at long distances. Now you got, you know, these supposedly, you know, flat earth debunkers out there claiming that we don't know what we're talking about, but I don't see them going out and doing these major observations. Again, look at this boat. He's just gotten smaller and smaller on that same water line. It's like taking 2 boards and sticking them on top of each other and getting back, you know, stick them about an inch away and get back a long distance and try to look between them. You're not going to be able to see between them unless you know, use a zoom camera, and then you might see a little sliver on the other side because what it's doing is it's compressing the sky to the water, and then you also have the water mirroring the sky and this band that's above it, above the visible water line. So again, observations is what has made me, originally I was trying to go out and debunk the flat earth. You see a little fish there jump, and when I started noticing these atmospheric conditions, I said, wait a minute here, there's an issue with this. So again, I wanted to get down to the bottom of it, and the only way I could was to continue doing observational videos and saying, hey, well, why does this boat look like it's starting to get cut off? Well, there's waves out there, there's swells out there that I can't no longer resolve with the camera. So, of course, these waves and swells are going to start to block out the lower hull of the boat. Plain and simple. Common sense will tell you this. Get something out and, set it on a plane, on a table, and see how much of the background it blocks out. It blocks out quite a bit. I mean, put a pin at the end of a table and see how much of that horizon behind the table it blocks out. Okay, here comes Cutter's Rock, and you can see that this boat is way out there now. He's not behind Cutter's Rock. I think he's still in front of Cutter's Rock. But there you go. There's some good proof for me. And you also see the way that this water lines are. And again, certain times of the season, these water lines will actually be mirrored. You won't see the water, you'll just see mirroring occurring. And that's my biggest point, is this mirroring, this atmospheric conditions, all of this plays a role. Angle of the sun's light hitting the water, it all plays a role in this. And this is what science isn't telling you, or these flat earth debunkers, they want to just say, oh, you don't know your optics and you don't know shit and you don't know nothing. Well, I'm sorry, but this boat's going to go behind Bill Still's South Rock Light right now. It's not going in front of it, it's going behind it. Now, I showed you the distances of these at the beginning. There you go. Obviously, the boat is behind that, and quite a ways behind that. All right. So again, I do these for myself. I don't do them for everybody else. This is my research. This is my niche that I have for observations, doing observational videos.
That's as best as I can get it now, guys. How tiny that boat is now. Dude, I'm telling you, I shouldn't see that boat that tiny. Look, you can still see its masks. And it's having a hard time rendering it, resolving it. So hoping to get into the sun here shortly. Maybe that'll make a little bit of a difference. Wow. Man, this one you could study.
Also, you notice how some of the masks of this boat, you cannot, the camera can't render it. Again, it's like trying to resolve a razor blade at 100 yards away. So even with a zoom camera, I don't believe it's possible. So, again, when you start doing these observations and you use your common sense and you think about waves and swells, it makes a big difference in what you're viewing. I've got birds that seem to fly down and full flight, pelicans in one of my videos, that they disappear and then reappear, disappear and reappear in full flight. Something is blocking them out, and that's what I say, that there's this mirroring edge is actually blocking it out. Now here's the Hernando beach channel light again, and that's Bill Watt's tripod. And you can't even hardly see the boat now. It starts to become invisible, and that's the problem that you have when you're trying to resolve something out at very long distances. And my camera is at full zoom, but see how that edge is lit up out there, how you can see the little sparkles of light. That is blocking you. That is waves. That is blocking out the bottom of that boat. Okay. And again, I'm not trying to make you believe what I'm saying. I want you to just see it with your own eyes and think about being out on the water and getting your face down low, or next time you're at the beach, get down low in the water. Here, look at this boat. Perspective again blocks everything out that's farther behind it, because everything farther behind it is small, and even its wake blocks out the boat. So really what I saying was, get down at the beach, there's a bird, and get yourself just about over eye level, and then see how far you can actually see. Things will cut off your vision, your line of sight, and that is what the problem is. Your line of sight is being cut away. All right, I'm gonna cut this video here because I go into viewing the sun, and I don't want to show that because that'll be a little bit more of a waste of time. Now this point right here is Fiddler's Point, and it does block me out from seeing more of Hernando Beach channel. So let me cut the video right here. All right, I left this little portion in right here just to I had put my solar lens on my camera for viewing the sun, but I just wanted to show you a little bit of what a boat looks like when you have a solar lens on your camera viewing something at a long distance. It does darken it out a little bit. You can see the reflection of the water off the back of the boat, or something reflective off the back of the boat. Might be just the wake of the boat. But I thought I'd just leave a little portion of this in there just to give you a little different perspective of how those water lines are in the water. All right, here's the kicker. There's your Bayport channel marker beacon rock light. This is the one I mainly film a lot, and that is approximately 3.5 statute miles, 3 nautical miles offshore. This is the North Rock, Bayport North Rock light, which is approximately 8 miles away, possibly 9. This is only if you can rely on these maps and their waypoint markers and everything. And the bigger map that I got was a newer map, say, new waypoints and new GPS readings. My goodness gracious, 2007, and they're still changing these things. I think my GPS, which should be GBPS, which ground-based positioning system, because they're triangulated by, cell towers and not so much satellites, even though they tell you it's satellites that are giving you your signals. But I kind of question that a lot. Now here's another boat that, again, here he is out there. He's riding that same water line, and you can even see the difference in the water due to the sun getting farther away, causing that light to change on the surface of the water. And again, you see this band in the sky. When I zoom back, you'll see this band back there, and that's the atmospheric conditions that causes these issues with viewing objects at long distances. I don't claim to know everything, and I'm not the best at editing my videos and doing the best videos out there. I admit it. I'm not very skilled in computer editing, computer programming. I'm uh, you know, average guy out trying to, well, originally out trying to prove that there was a curve out there, but I cannot find it. Even though they want to tell you at times that you're going over this curvature of Earth, the higher you go up. Well, if you just do some plain simple testing on flat surfaces, you'll find that the only way to see the whole surface is to go higher on a flat surface. It doesn't have to be a curved surface. Again, this North Rack, it should be 18 feet under the curvature of Earth by the Earth curvature chart. Figure it out. I give you all the information that you need. You can figure it out yourself. I don't know how to get a picture of when I put it up on the Earth curve calculator and show you my results that I got. But again, I'm approximately 5 feet off the water. Haven't changed the location of my tripod. I think I did bump it a little bit and got it off level here later on. But you can also see how these rocks that are sticking up seem to be higher than the water behind it. That's only due to perspective again, people. It has nothing to do with the curvature of Earth. There's water well beyond this visible water. You just cannot see it. Because again, a lot of times I get my boats floating in the air. And I try to film from these two spots mainly so people can use my videos for research and for observational purposes. I find that some flat earthers have used my videos, which I absolutely appreciate. I tell people they don't even have to give me credit. I'm not in this for the credit or for the views or for the subs. I'm not a big channel. I really don't want to be, and I do get tired of the trolls coming to my channel saying, oh, look, it's cutting off the bottom of the boat. Well, yeah, what's cutting off the bottom of the boat is the question. Well, if you've ever been out in a boat and you do as much boating as I have, and you look at a boat farther away, you can obviously see the chops and waves cut off the lower parts of the boat. You can see these too sometimes when you look at little crab trap buoy markers out there. You'll see them bobbing up and down, and I do believe I've got an example in this. And what I want to do is probably just speed this video up here a little bit and cut this video a little bit shorter. Otherwise, people get tired of watching my long ass videos. But hey, how can you observe something if you don't observe it? So that's why I make long videos. Again, there's these water lines out there that you can see that sometimes I get mirroring at all these different areas, all these different lines that you see in the water. Sometimes it'll be mirroring at one spot or mirroring at another spot. And again, these boats look like they're floating in the air. Let me pause it and speed this up. Okay, I sped this up 3 times faster again. And as you observe, you watch this boat riding that same water line and just continuing to get smaller and smaller and smaller. So I have to ask you, what is it riding on? More water. Common sense tells you it has to be riding on water. It's not riding on the air. And it's also these little swells and waves that are slowly cutting off the lower hull of the boat. Nothing to do with curvature. It's called rendering, resolving that edge, and you just cannot resolve it, at these distances. Now, I can't see that boat with my naked eye whatsoever, and if it wasn't for this camera, I would not see it. Here again, there are these buoy markers, and you can slow this thing down in your YouTube program if you want to see, the these buoy markers bobbing up and down. I think you can see it, and how parts of the buoy markers get cut off. And again, you can see the flashing of light from the sun flashing on the windshield or some reflective object on the boat. Now, too, what I can do is I can cut some of the contrast and cut some of that light out, which I'll do a little portion of it here and see what we can see. Okay, I put this boat back at its original speed, and I I made the contrast a little higher, and I took some of the brightness out. And you can see a little bit better of the boat. You can still see the ass end of this boat still sticking up above the water, and that tells you that that boat is just a lot farther away. You also see that the rigs that are sticking out the side of it are almost invisible too, to where you can't see it. And then also you can see the difference in that water. These lines, these horizontal lines going across the water surface is something that you definitely will see in some of my other videos. Like I said, sometimes you'll just see just the mask of the boat sticking up, but it's bigger than what you see here, and it's only due to the mirroring cutting everything off, not the curvature of Earth. And again, these are my opinions. This is what I observed. This is what I've researched. Rayleigh's criterion is another one that really sets some things straight. Atmospheric lensing or magnification, the compression of the sky and the water being compressed because you're like looking through a tunnel, actually, a hallway, where you got your ceiling and your floor eventually meeting due to perspective and not due to any curvature. So again, you can still see the ass end of this boat in the video. He has not gone under, but if I added more light to it, you probably would not see the rear end of that boat. So again, this is why sometimes cutting the brightness and bringing up the contrast helps visualize and helps you see things a lot better. Okay, this part here is after the sun vanishes from our line of sight. You can count these little slats of the boards on the tripod out there, or the bird rack. There's 7 of them. And if you go back to my crazy 2-day observations or crazy days, or I can't remember exactly which video it was, but it was where I went out with my boat and I took a bunch of pictures and videos of these bird racks. But you can obviously see that there's a big gap underneath it at the bottom. And then this other boat that's going well beyond, and you can tell that this boat is well beyond this bird rack. And actually, there's 2 boats here. They're riding what appears to be side by side, but I guarantee you that there's some distance in between them. These guys don't get that close to each other. Matter of fact, some fights can break out sometimes between these crabbers or shrimpers, on being too close to each other. They don't want to get entangled, or they don't want people taking their stuff. Now you see this other little black object out there. Have no idea what it is. It could be a sign way out there. Could be another marker way out there. Could even be a boat way out there. I have no idea. But you'll see here shortly where this is 2 boats and not one. I'm going to just let it play out. Again, I try to do my observational videos where people can, again, use these for observational purposes, to study, to research on. Again, here's the North Bird Rack with its light flashing, and off to the right you can see another little marker out there. I do believe that's a sign that I should not be able to see that sign. These are things that are impossible should be impossible for me to see if the earth is curved. Now, too, the water was fairly calm out there, but I've gone out on days where the water was calm inshore, but the farther out you got, the water got rougher and rougher. So you can't always go by the first appearance of the water that's directly in front of you. Also, you can tell that the water has changed due to the light not being reflected so much off of the direct light of the sun. And again, you can see the ass end of this back boat, the boat that's in the rear. You can see the ass end of that boat sticking above the water. And you got to take into consideration perspective. The farther that boat is away, the smaller that's going to be. Now you can see too that this is two boats and not one boat. Here again too, look at these rocks that are sticking up in the water, and watch how these rocks will actually block out parts of that boat that's farther back there. It's just due to perspective. It has nothing to do with curvature of Earth. But, I know I'm going to get some Globers that come on and tell me I don't know jack about optics or, line of sight, or tell me I'm uneducated and all of that. And from now on, I just give them a hearted comment, just give them a heart and let them go. Let them blab all they want, because I'm not trying to get them to believe anything. Just instead of them wasting their time trying to disprove me or tell me I'm stupid, why don't they go out there and prove me wrong? Because they can't. They won't. They can try. Wolfie's got some videos out there that tell you all kinds of stuff, but he says he's a pilot and he's got some kind of a PhD in science or something. So what? So what? Just because you got brainwashed more than I did, you think you're better than me? Again, look at that band that's out there. That band is what causes the atmospheric conditions and why you can't see things on long distances. Again, you can do your own observations, you can do your own tests, and then find out for yourself. Use your common sense more than your education sense, because they have educated your common sense right out of you. Most people, they will read a book, or I've met people that were very, very intelligent, but they had no common sense. As a kid, they'd stick a fork in a damn electrical outlet. Duh. Hello. But, again, I try to keep my stuff pretty simple, and I always try to tell people, don't believe me. Go do your own testing. Just like Jaredism says, don't trust him, don't believe him. Go do your own research. Go do your own testing. Then see where you're at. Don't believe nobody. Believe yourself. Alright, I'm going to just go ahead and cut this video off because I pretty much think that I've proved myself. Or what I can do is I can speed it up to the end, which that's what I might do. I might, let me do that. Let me just speed this up and let you watch this play out at a... Okay, sped it up 3 times faster. So I kept this video under an hour, which it would have been more like an hour and a half, almost a 2-hour video if I would have just left all the footage on that I did this particular day at this particular spot under the seawall. So down by the rocks, 5 foot above the water, and this is my results. So again, I don't ask people to believe a word I say. Just look at my observations, use your common sense, think about it, and you be the one that judges. Don't come on my channel barking at me, telling me I'm stupid, I'm dumb, I don't know optics, because I'm getting some of them, because all I do is give you a hearted comment. I'm not here to argue with people. I'm an observer. I do observational videos, period. Don't like them? Don't watch them. Don't come to my channel and run your mouth and act like you're much smarter than I am. Because I'll tell you right off the bat, you have no common sense. If that's the way you're going to be, you have no common sense. Like, subscribe, share, have a good day, and I hope you enjoyed my observational video.